Hi everyone, this is Wes Hewitt. So let's talk about parametric diagrams and the modeling simulation. So it's going to be two things. Now you do have a parametric diagram to do, so I'm going to help you step through that and 4 easy steps to do that. And then we'll also cover executable simulation you can add to your models if you choose. It's optional. So here are some links to some examples that I've used online. So if you want to go back and look at them, especially for some more detail, you can. So here's a sample of a fairly complex parametric diagram. You can see, but it's still very well organized. Okay, it's not really always really messy, but you can see the complexity. So this is an example from Architecting Spacecraft with SysML by Sanford Friedenthal and Christopher Oster. It's a very good textbook. I use it in my SysML class in the spring, so it's a good example. So modeling simulation, there is an example of a flashlight also that's in your something you can download in the tool. So here's the purpose of doing the modeling simulation is to gain a system understanding without manipulating the real system. It allows you to do analysis on the system that does not exist. Testing your system under selected conditions, because you can create data sets in your model and actually save them and manage them. And hopefully you can, by your testing, you can find errors before prediction, which is obviously a key goal for system engineers. Okay, so here is my SOI, my system of interest domain that I'm going to give an example for. So if you want to follow along, you don't have to create the domain, but the domain shows you my model. Okay, this is my system of interest, my car, and I call this level 0, just like a context diagram. Okay, so you notice in my car domain, in the car I've got a driver, I've got passengers, I've got a car dealership. I had the tendency to take my car to the dealership, for doing regular maintenance because of the complexity of cars these days. Fuel provider. So this could be gas, this could be electric. If you got a solar power car, whatever. But you do need fuel providers for your car. Government and weather. And I broke down weather into things that are very important to cars. Obviously snow. If you have a snow area, you got to think about that. Rain and high heat. Okay, so that's just my examples of my domain. So if you can see, have I missed any? This is a good way for you to always, when you're doing your system analysis, did I forget anything? What about roads and cities? Shouldn't roads be in my domain? I kind of left that off. I noticed that. So anyway, so when you start doing your domain, after you've kind of developed that, in your head at least, okay, so what does my level 1 look like? So this is really the step 1 for building your parametric diagram too. Is you want to start a new model and you want to define the components of your car, the level 1 of your car, the powertrain, the body, the chassis, and maybe some components. So let's take a look at that really quick here. So here is my car domain. Here's the car structure I created here. How would I do that? Okay, so to do that, you would just come over here, go to File, create a new project. Let's say car again, and I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to scale down here to SysML. Okay, and I'm going to hit OK. So I'm going to create a new SysML model. And I probably would have started off with creating that domain, but for this case, I'm just going to go into Model, and I'm going to create, I just always create a package first. Okay, so let's say this is the structure for my car. Okay, and I may change, instead of just model, I'd change the name to my car. Okay, and then in this package called structure, because I'm going to build a structure, I'm going to start off creating a SysML block definition diagram, a BDD. Okay, and then I'm going to create a block here, and this is going to be my car. Okay, and I can zoom in a little bit here. well, here, let's see, what are the car components? Okay, I'm going to do the powertrain, and I'm going to create another one, 3 things here. The body itself of the car, and obviously the top level you'd maybe create some other things. Let's say the chassis, okay? And I'm going to break out the powertrain into a couple components, okay? I'm going to have, let's see, powertrain component 1, and I want to show you a quick thing you can do. If I hit Control C over here on this one, come up to structure and hit Control V, it'll duplicate that. And look at it, I actually numbered it the way I wanted it to. So I'm just going to drag that over here, and I'll connect it back up here so it knows. It looks like it should have already been, well, technically it wasn't under car. Now it is. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to rearrange it here. Okay, make it pretty. And you can add actors in here if you wanted to, but you don't have to here. It's not really necessary at this point. Okay, so I created my basic structure here, the block description diagram, okay? And let me see here. I was gonna, okay, that makes it a little bit better here by hitting this little box here. So if you're following along, you should have the basic structure of whatever your system is going to be, especially for the parametric diagram, okay? Okay, so after we did that, what's the next step? So let's see. The next thing we're going to do is create the constraint. Okay, so this particular one is I'm coming over here to a constraint block, and I'm going to put it over here, and I'm going to name it sum. That's interesting. SUM. Okay. In fact, we could even call it someone, just to be confusing. Okay, under the constraint, here's where you put, like, say, the equation that we're looking at, some variable. Total weight is equal to the powertrain. What did I say? T. So that would be the weight. The WT powertrain component 1, then plus the weight. So I'm adding up the weight here, the weight of powertrain component 2. So I'm just doing a basic equation, okay? And then the next thing you can do is select this block. Okay, so that's the constraint for the first constraint. That's the equation. It can be an equality or inequality. And then I'm going to come down here. It says parse and create parameters. Okay, so what this does is you have to have these parameters defined. Just bring it out a little bit. So it automatically made them for you with the names and that they're real, and you could assign values at some time right there. Okay, so this is how you can, the easiest way to create your first constraint. Okay, so that's your step 2. Okay, 1 second here. Okay, where do we go here? Okay, so next is step 3, and we're going to drag this constraint onto the powertrain. Okay, so that has actually added that constraint here. Okay, so we moved it over, and so now it's associated this constraint with this particular block. Okay, and then after that, now Hi again. So I started over a little bit here for this BDD that I was creating. So we want to make sure that the powertrain here, you drag the constraint onto the powertrain block, and it'll show up this here, sum, and it's got real values here. And I set these values here, okay, by selecting it, and you hit the plus sign, and then you come here to value property, and it adds it down here, okay, and then you just put in the name, colon, real, and then if you want to set a value, a real value there, okay. Do the same for here. So this one's set for 10.5 pounds, this is 25, and then here's the summation. So this is where the constraint is, so I'm going to right click on here and create diagram, select parametric diagram. I'm going to select the components, and then inside here I'm going to select the values here. Okay, so they show up inside those values, and then these are the ports here for the constraint. And click OK. Okay, so now you get these yellow boxes which shows the component, and then these are the variables in here, and you notice these are all already attached. Okay, and this one is attached too, but if you need to attach them, you just click here and hit this binding, and you connect it. So make sure you connect this binding to inside here, the pink one. Okay, so that's the first diagram. Now let's take a look at the second one here. So you can create, so we did move that, and the step 4 was to create your parametric diagram. Okay, the next step is executing it. Okay, so now if you have the plugin put in here, you've got this little arrow here where you can click here, run. Okay, and you notice down here it's totaled the amount, 35.5 is the total. You can actually make these a little bit bigger here. You can see the values in here. Now you notice there's 2 of them. I did this twice, so I probably ended up with 2 barrels. You probably only have 1. Okay, here's the total. Okay, so you can see it in there. Okay. Now there is another way you can do this, which is kind of interesting. Let's say you want to have a variable amount, not just if you know there's 2, that you have 2 or more. So you can create a different constraint block, and I created it here. Let's see, this is a component. Okay, so this is sum1. I think there was a sum2. Okay, let's see here. So here we can make a sum2 with total here, where it's sum x, some value, where x is a real value, and then maybe we could total that up. So you can add a new sum2 constraint to provide a variable amount of input. Guess I cut that off. Okay. So total weight is real. Okay, so that's the new constraint. We'll drag that over here onto this block, so we have sum2. Okay, and now we can right click on here, create a new diagram, new parametric diagram. We want the 2 components, we want the values, we want let's see, we want that, and we want the total weight, and we want, let's see, which one do we need here? I guess we need 2 we need to find here. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so now we have 2 constraints, so we don't need this one anymore. We're going to use this constraint. Okay, and we're going to have it populate, create, display constraint parameters. Okay, those are the constraint parameters that were created. So we're going to link these two. Let's say we got this total component. So we have two constraints here. One total weight. Okay, so that's going to go to here. And then this is constraint 2. So this is going to go to one of these. I'm not sure. I think we may need the other one. Oh, I grabbed the 225s. Okay, my bad. So I got to go grab the other one. I had duplicates in here, so that kind of messed me up. Okay, so here's the 10. Okay, so that's the one I want. So this one, I'm going to grab another binder, and I'm going to connect it to this one so we can do 2. Okay, so oh, I forgot. Over here, where we defined x, we have to define this with multiplicity. Multiplicity, and we're going to make it star for its infinite. Okay, so real can be as many as it wants. So that should allow me to do the calculations. Okay, so we'll go back here. So here's our parametric diagram with strength, these two values. Looks a little messy. So you can always make it a little neater like that. Okay, and you can make these arrows straighter. And switch things around so they're not crossing like that. So look better. Okay, so that's a good parametric diagram, and you can execute it again by hitting this button. Say yes here, and it's executing to 35. Okay, everybody, thanks a lot, and good luck. And oh, I did want to show you this here. Okay, so that's the drag and dropping. That's putting the values and executing with the regular execution. So make sure, if you want to get more help on this, there's a guide that you can get into the tool. Just go into the help, okay, under other documents, and there's also online documentation. And you also can create a configuration folder and package, and then create this config instance table, okay, where you can have multiple instances in your model and keep them and change the values real time. So it's really good. So just to recap here, the purpose of model simulation execution is to gain system understanding without manipulating the real system. Allows you to do analysis, okay, allows you to test your system under conditions without actually having to build anything, but putting in the mathematical values. This is a really good simulation to take a look at, that flashlight one again. So hope you can find your design errors early. So simulation executable model, we talked about parametric data modeling. You also can model activity diagrams, state machines, interactions or sequence diagrams. Can all be done with this, and that's a different video. So time series charts and histograms, so it's all pretty good. So if you want to get the plugin, just download the plugin. It's called Magic Model Analyst plugin 21X refresh 1. Just down that, and then you go to the install under help resources plugin manager, and you can import that in. And you may have to restart Magic to see it, so don't be surprised. You probably should do that. And user's guides available. Okay, everybody, thanks a lot. Bye.